morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well for the second time today. I'm used to doing live streams in the mornings with the Karen Reid case, but given that the court finished at lunchtime today in Karen Reid because Judge Webb only appears to work part-time, I don't know. I got some time to cover this case. Now, I've been following this horrible case. This is out of Washington State, and this started to unfold on Friday, so 5 days ago. And three little girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker, went on a visit, like a planned custody visitation type thing, with their dad, Travis Decker. Now, Travis Decker is homeless. He's got mental health problems. How he's allowed unsupervised visits at all, I don't know. And I guess there's going to be a lot of questions that get asked. But it doesn't help these three little girls, because on Monday, they were found dead. So Travis Decker is now on the run. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of questions about the concerns that their mother had. Their mother raised concerns about him, but it was part of the parenting plan that Travis would continue to have unsupervised visits, no overnights, and he had a 3-hour visit on Friday. When they didn't return home, the mother called the police, and quite rightly. However, an Amber Alert wasn't issued that could well have saved them. I don't know whether an Amber Alert would have saved them, but apparently this case didn't fit the criteria for an Amber Alert. I'm just absolutely lost for words. So they were all found sadly deceased. It looks like they've either been strangled or suffocated. The cause of death looks like asphyxiation of some kind, which is horrific. 3 little girls, all sisters under the age of 10, Travis Decker's biological children. As far as I understand it, they're all his biological children. So absolutely shocking. So who is Travis Decker? Well, we're going to go through the whole case. Now, there was a press conference that was yesterday kind of evening my time. So we're going to play that. I haven't seen that press conference. I started to watch it, and then it occurred to me I planned to cover this case, on YouTube. So why not watch the press conference together? But for those who haven't heard of this case, we'll just go through the background first, so that everyone's up to speed. I'm going to say a couple of hellos before we get into it. Good afternoon from a rainy, overcast central Florida. Good evening from a somewhat sunny northern England. Lady Luck, hello. Got Jackie. I know. I don't understand. Visiting, fine. I don't have a problem with his seeing his kids if he's homeless. What I do have a problem with is somebody who has got serious mental health problems allowed unsupervised visits. So not only is he homeless, he's got serious mental health problems. I think that's actually more concerning than him being homeless, honestly. Being homeless is one thing, but having serious mental health problems, you're not looking after yourself properly. How are you meant to be in control of 3 kids under the age of 10? So I don't have a problem with him seeing his kids. I have a problem with him being able to take them away. And then when they're not returned, the mother raises the alarm, and basically she's told, no Amber Alert, he'll bring them back. And then Saturday, when they didn't turn up, they had a organised thing on Saturday. I think it was a sports thing on Saturday, and they didn't turn up for that. And I think then the alarm really was raised that something really was wrong. But too little, too late. Like an immediate response from the police may have saved them. We don't know whether it would, but it may have. It may have. Hello, Suddenly Sally, Jackie, CC, CR, Susan, Grey Wolf, Dawn, Casey Marie, Patrice, Blue Willow, Queen Bella, Pam, Bayou Babe. We've got a few people in. All right. So we'll start at the beginning. Who is Travis Decker? Let me just make my screen a bit bigger. All right. This is Travis. This is Travis. Why does that look dark? I think it's because I just paused this article just to give you his details here, his vitals. So Travis Decker, this is him, 5'8", around 190 pounds, black hair, and he's obviously quite long. It's got ponytail, brown eyes, last seen wearing light shirt and dark shorts. And he's driving a white pickup truck.
Overnight for their father, 32-year-old Travis Decker.
So 32.
Accusing him of killing the girls during a court-approved visit.
Having my own daughter, and like, that's shocking. I don't know what this mother is going through. It's probably that's the hell on earth.
When the girls did not return home Friday, their mother reported them missing, but authorities say the case did not meet the criteria for an Amber Alert. Those criteria include...
Oh, okay. Let's look at the criteria for Umbrella in Washington State.
Reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred, and a law enforcement belief that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death.
So isn't when there's a custody issue and there's a court-ordered process about how visitation occurs, if that visitation isn't abided by and that parent keeps the children longer than the court-ordered visitation is allowed, isn't that considered an abduction? Isn't that considered a parental abduction? Now, maybe because the court said that you could have visits with them, but not overnight, maybe on the Friday, because it wasn't considered overnight, they only became worried on the Saturday. But why didn't they issue the Amber Alert on the Saturday then? Because he's definitely then in breach of court orders. And that would be considered parental abduction. I don't understand. I do not understand. So serious questions need to be asked of the court. Serious questions need to be asked of the Amber Alert system. Okay, I'm going to play some of this news piece here from Cairo 7 News. Now, this was before the press conference, so it does make reference to the police were meant to be updating, but they haven't. Well, they did. It was like an hour after this, after this was released, there was a press conference. So we're going to play the whole press conference, but I'm going to play this one first, because this is very informative. This gives you a lot of background and stuff. I'd like to know more about Travis Decker. I'd like to know more about the specifics of his mental health. I've heard, I think it was News Nation, maybe. It was one of the news pieces that I've watched on this over the last, 48 hours or so, saying that he had borderline personality disorder. But I'd like to know more. But this news piece is interesting because they're talking about the charging documents, which I haven't seen. So there are warrants out for him for three counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of kidnapping. So now the girls are dead, they're now accusing him of kidnapping. When the girls could potentially be alive, they weren't issuing the Amber Alert because there's no sign of an abduction. Make that make sense. But anyway, all right, I'm going to play some of this.
9-year-old Peyton Decker, 8-year-old Evelyn Decker, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker have been found dead. The girls were last seen alive on Friday after their father picked them up for a planned visitation.
And
they're just 9, 8, and 5. 9, 8, and 5. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia.
Now there is an urgent manhunt to find him. 32-year-old Travis Decker is wanted for his daughter's kidnapping and murders. Now, State Patrol says he may be armed and dangerous. The girls' bodies were found near his empty truck about 40 miles away from Wenatchee by Rock Island Campground. That's west of Leavenworth.
Our team is bringing you live coverage on.
So Travis Decker apparently has been staying at campgrounds. He's got his truck, but he's been staying at campgrounds, and this is very, very rural. You know, this apparently also he's an army veteran. He does have the ability to, you know, I don't know, survive. He's got survival skills. I suspect he's done himself in somewhere. You know, these kind of cases where you've got this family annihilation, where a parent takes out their kids, they tend to then take out themselves. So I'm thinking possibly they'll find his body, potentially. Either that or he's on the run and he's considered armed and dangerous. So, you know, they've said don't approach him. If you see him, don't approach him. Just call 911. He is thought to be armed. So he knows people are after him. Then obviously he's dangerous. But I'm suspecting that he will have done himself in, but who knows?
On this rapidly developing investigation from State Patrol headquarters in Olympia to the crime scene near Leavenworth.
First, Cairo 7 anchor Gary Horker is fronting our coverage live from Wenatchee, digging through just released charging documents. And Gary, the details here are disturbing.
Monique and Elle, they don't get more heartbreaking than this. These 3 innocent lives taken so tragically, and now we know how. Those documents say the girls died of asphyxiation. They also say the way they found them was the FBI and all these law enforcement agencies, including Homeland Security, pinged their father's cell phone around the area and the campsite where the night before he disappeared with them. Take a look at the girls at the center of this case. That's Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker. 3 innocent little...
So they had the FBI and Homeland Security on the case, but yet they didn't issue the Amber Alert. Okay.
Girls. They were last seen Friday when they were supposed to be on a scheduled visit with their dad, Travis. Here's a look at his photo. According to custodial documents, Travis Decker and the girl's mom had been separated now for several years, but his court-ordered custody plan changed once he became homeless. Worth noting here, Decker refused to sign the plan, which stated he needed to get both mental help and anger management help as well, which his ex-wife said in court documents never really happened.
So the court-ordered treatment that he was meant to get himself, he didn't do. Yet it was still thought that it was appropriate for him to have unsupervised visits with a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. DV, anger management counselling. So obviously there's DV in the relationship beforehand. He's known to be violent. You don't give somebody a court order that they've got to get anger management if there's no evidence that they were ever angry or violent. But yet he's allowed to have unsupervised visits with a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And he's taking them to a campground where the only shelter there is his truck. He's sleeping in his truck. This is insane.
Cover 7's Jason Sloss has been digging through all of these heartbreaking documents. Jason, this is a heartbreaking end to the search, and you just talked to the mom yesterday exclusively.
Yeah, the plan wouldn't change until it's brought before a judge. Well, why wasn't it brought before a judge? I mean, I'm guessing there's things that we don't know that might come out in due course. But the mother was concerned about the girls going to have visits with him. So I think there's, parts of the story that we're not clear about as of yet.
Yes, and the mom was optimistic that this would have a much different ending. Just horrific deaths for these three little girls during what was supposed to be a relatively quick visit with their father. Now, the girls were found about 45 minutes down this road near a campground, and now an all-out search for their father. A heartbreaking end to the search for three little girls, 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker, found dead near the Rock Island campground near Leavenworth. Now, a manhunt for the sisters' father, 32-year-old Travis Decker. Friday evening, Decker went to his ex-wife's home in Wenatchee to pick up the girls for a planned 3-hour parental visit.
So only 3 hours. But the mother was on it. When he didn't return, she raised the alarm. I don't think there's any blame whatsoever that needs to be put on the mother. I haven't seen any, but just in case, you know, like, how dare the mother let the kids go off with this guy and he's violent? Well, she had to, because it's part of the custody plan. That's what the court ordered. And she raised the alarm when she realized this wasn't right. And she was optimistic that they'd be found alive. She was optimistic that he'd just kind of, I don't know, gone off on a weekend jolly with them and they'd be found alive. Who would think that he would murder all three of his daughters? You wouldn't instantly go there, would you? I wouldn't have gone there, like, in my head instantly. I think once it got over 24 hours, I might be thinking that, given that she obviously knows him and given that there's court-ordered anger management that he's not taken and he's got serious mental health problems. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go overnight? He's homeless and he's sleeping in his truck. Where are the girls going to sleep overnight? Once that overnight happens, then the Amber Alert should have been issued. I can't understand why the system has failed these three girls. Once again, the system has failed.
But they never returned. Wenatchee police issued an endangered missing person alert. Decker is homeless, and for 3 days, authorities searched campgrounds and motels while on the lookout for Decker's white GMC truck. Just before 4 Monday afternoon, a Chelan County Sheriff's deputy spotted the father's unoccupied truck near a campground off Icicle Road. The bodies of the three girls were then found nearby down an embankment, but no sign of Decker. According to Chelan County court documents, the likely cause of the girls' deaths was asphyxiation.
I don't know, I have a...
And just imagine, like, 9, 8, and 5. Just imagine. Like, they all understand what's going on. 2 of them are going to have to watch their sister being strangled or suffocated. And then the second girl and then the third girl is going to know what's coming. It's just absolutely terrifying. Terrifying.
Little girl myself, so that's... it's shocking.
Visitors hoping to hike a nearby trail were turned away at a roadblock as a large-scale search is carried out.
I'm sorry for the family and for the mother. That's devastating. I absolutely cannot imagine.
Now, if anyone sees Decker, they are urged not to make contact, but call 911 right away. We were expecting a news conference today with the Chelan County Sheriff's Office. That did not happen.
Well, these guys just jumped the gun a little bit with this news piece being released. Because an hour after this was released, there was a press conference that we are going to play. I know it's this press conference in the title of this live stream. If you're waiting for the press conference, it did happen. I'm going to play it in entirety after this. I haven't seen it, so we're going to be watching it together.
There is a GoFundMe account set up in the girls' names. We'll have more about that on our website. Live in Leavenworth, Jason Sloss, Cairo 7 News.
Incredibly difficult information to even process and report. Thank you, Jason. Since we learned the sisters have died, we have been asking very tough questions, specifically to the Washington State Patrol, because in this state, the federal government gives the overall criteria for an Amber Alert, but only the State Patrol can actually issue an Amber Alert itself. So everybody passing by here with heavy hearts is wondering and second guessing the State Patrol. A natural question: why was the State Patrol not issuing an Amber Alert? Cairo 7's Deborah Horn is live for us in Olympia. Deborah, WSP said there wasn't enough evidence that the sisters were in any kind of imminent danger, and they need to be in imminent danger for an Amber Alert to be.
So a guy who doesn't bring his daughters back when he's supposed to, under a court order, who's mentally unwell, who's not taken his mental health and anger management courses, as was issued by the judge. So clearly he's got anger problems. Clearly he's got mental health problems. They didn't consider 3 little girls under the age of 10 to be in enough danger to issue an Amber Alert. All right.
Absolutely, Gary. That is one of the criteria set out for an Amber Alert. But as you say, now those sisters are dead. And so we came here to Olympia to ask whether anyone at WSP believes they made a mistake. Any second guessing? Any rethinking?
As a father and a grandfather, when your heart is so broken by someone lost, there's always going to be questions. What could we have done? What should we have done?
Those are just some of the questions the Washington State Patrol is facing after the worst news possible about the 3 missing sisters, that all 3 are dead. Their troubled father still missing. This after WSP issued a missing and endangered persons alert, but not the more urgent Amber Alert. Should the criteria be changed, be broadened?
That's a question for the Department of Justice and a national discussion, because this is used across the country.
According to
Not true. Not true. Not all states have the same strict criteria. Look at Tennessee. I cover a lot of cases in Tennessee because of Summer Wells case. A lot of people who follow my channels are from Tennessee. And we've had a few cases from Tennessee that have become quite high profile. Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers being the 2 that are the most high profile. And in both of those cases, they were issued an Amber Alert. Summer because, once it had gone overnight, she's only 5 years old, out on her own. She's considered in serious danger of, imminent bodily injury or death because she's out there potentially on her own. Tennessee doesn't have to be an abduction. It can be any child that's out there in whatever circumstances who is now in imminent danger of bodily injury or death. So that's how Summer got hers, like the day after. And she went missing June 15, 2021. Amber Alert was issued on June 16th. Sebastian, similar. Sebastian being 15 at the time he disappeared, but considered in serious harm once he'd been missing for overnight. Same as Summer. He was reported missing on the 26th. The Amber Alert was issued on the 27th of February 2024. And he'd been out overnight. The weather was getting colder, and he had autism and a chromosomal disorder. So it was judged that he was vulnerable and perhaps he'd find it difficult to get home on his own if he was lost. They issued the Amber Alert. So it's not true that it's a nationwide issue. Different states interpret the Amber Alert criteria differently. So has the presser happened yet? Yes, it happened 14 hours ago. I haven't seen it. We're going to watch it together. So just going to play through this piece and then we're going to watch it.
WSP guidelines set out in 2019, an Amber Alert is issued if several criteria are met as set by the federal government. That the missing person is a child, that the child is believed to be in danger of imminent death or serious bodily injury, that there is an adequate description of that missing child, and that law enforcement is investigating. WSP's Chris.
So a lot of states interpret that all of those things have to be met. Whereas Tennessee, if just one of those things is met, either there's, sign of an abduction and they've got a description of an offender or a vehicle, and they're potentially in imminent danger, then that's an Amber Alert. But they don't have to have the abduction element to it. As long as there's a description of the child and it's judged that they are in imminent danger of bodily injury or death, then they issue the Amber Alert. They don't have to have this additional issue that a lot of these states who are very strict with the Amber Alert, like Michael Vaughan didn't get one in Idaho. I think the Tennessee model, I think, is fairer to children than this. This keeps happening. This keeps happening, where children who we find out they've been abducted or we find out they've been murdered didn't get an Amber Alert, and that Amber Alert potentially could have saved them or not. We don't know. But still, I just don't understand it.
Chris Loftus says there was no evidence Travis Decker was a threat to his children.
If we were to...
All right, so the judge wanted him to do anger management classes. Why? What, just for fun?
Issue an Amber Alert. Every time someone with custodial privilege is late getting that child back, we'd have Amber Alerts just about every day. Was it?
Yeah, but it's not just about being late, is it? It's not just about being late. This guy's playing the seriousness down. Being late's one thing. But if you're late because, I don't know, you're stuck in traffic or you took the kids out for something to eat and the order was late and you're going to be an hour late, what do? You call the parent and say, going to be an hour late. You don't just go completely off the radar, do you? Especially when you're not allowed to have overnight visits and the time ticks on and it's clear that those children are not coming back that night and the father that's got them is homeless. So where are these kids sleeping? And the father is known to have serious mental health problems and anger problems. So it's not just about them being late back. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. This guy's playing it down.
The system that harmed these...
Yes, was it the system that failed?
Was it the system or was it the murderer?
It was the murderer, but the system could have helped. The system could have caught the offender before it became a murder. You can tell this guy's a politician.
I would say it was the murderer.
No blame on him then. No blame on his organisation then. No one there did anything wrong. All right, okay.
Now, after Chris Loftus said that the Fed set the criteria, we checked. And according to the DOJ, the criteria are recommendations. But those recommendations...
They're recommendations, and they can be interpreted in various ways. So I told you he was BSing. He absolutely is. I know for a fact, and I'm not American. I know for a fact that guy is full of shit.
Recommendations are not forced on individual states. Loftus also says that the mother gave no indication that she believed her ex-husband would harm their children. But of course...
Yeah, because who would want to think? Who would want to think, the late back, who would want to think, oh, they've been murdered? You wouldn't go there instantly, would you? You'd want the kids back because he's now defying a court order. So you want the cops out looking for them, get them back as quickly as possible. So the following morning, the Amber Alert should definitely have been issued. I'm fuming about this. Fuming.
We have recent court documents, but even some that go back 3 years show that she had some concerns. We're working to bring you that part of this story tonight at 6. For now, reporting live in Olympia.
So I haven't seen that part, but we're going to go to the press conference now. This is a developing story. So I think more is going to come out in due course. And this will take us up to... everything that the police have released. So this is Como News from 15 hours ago. So 90 minutes. I'm going to play it all through I'm not going to stop it because I haven't listened to this yet either. So we're going to listen to it together. I'm going to mute out and listen to it, and then we can talk about it after.
Lead away, sir.
Is everybody ready? Try not to tip over the podium here. Okay, I am Captain Brian Chance with the Wenatchee Police Department. This is Sheriff Morrison, obviously, with the Chelan County. And I'm going to start out the press release and talk about how we got to where we did just a couple of days ago or just yesterday. So I'll start off and give you a timeline of the involvement of Wenatchee Police Department in this case. On May 30th, at about 9:35 p.m., Wenatchee police officer Corporal Gonzalez responded to a call of a civil complaint. In responding to that call, he interviewed Whitney, the mother of the 3 young girls. There was no reported history of problems with the parenting plan. There were reported concerns of Travis being homeless and financially stressed recently. Whitney was clear that during the exchanges that had occurred in the past, that Travis was very communicative with her in any deviations from the parenting plan. Corporal Gonzalez, after speaking with Whitney, was able to identify Decker's vehicle through a local database called Spillman. He took the vehicle information and was able to enter it into Flock, which is a system of cameras that are located within the city and also in Chelan County. Flock located the vehicle, the white GMC Sierra, traveling northbound across the Wenatchee River Bridge. This was shortly after Decker had picked up the children for the visitation. After this information was obtained, and in addition to information that had been received by Whitney that Travis frequented local hotels and often local campgrounds as well, all local hotels and campgrounds in East Wenatchee and Wenatchee were checked by patrol officers from those jurisdictions, and Decker was not located. Park rangers were also contacted at Confluence Park and made aware of the situation. An attempt to locate was then sent out by Corporal Gonzalez to all regional agencies containing Decker's information along with the vehicle information. After that, Corporal Gonzalez made contact with Washington State Patrol and consulted their unit for an Amber Alert. The information at the time did not meet the threshold for an Amber Alert. On May 31st, Corporal Gonzalez contacted Sergeant Eaton at about 7 a.m. and advised him of the situation. After that conversation had occurred, Detective Brian Hewitt with the Wenatchee Police Department and Detective Sergeant Joe Eaton discussed the incident as well, and Detective Hewitt responded that day to continue the investigation. The family was contacted and additional information was obtained. He learned Travis and the daughters did not arrive at a planned 5K running event that morning, which was out of the ordinary to Whitney. Travis had had a recent history of attending and being present for all the daughters' events and programs. And, at that point, Detective Hewitt started to reach out to some of his contacts at the state and federal levels as well. He enlisted the assistance of the FBI, and with assistance from the FBI, phone location data was obtained for Thursday through Friday, plotting locations in and around Leavenworth. Detective Hewitt then, with that information, went to Leavenworth and started focusing on the areas of Chumstick and Icicle Road, and did not have any success in locating Travis or his vehicle or the girls. Throughout that day, Detective Hewitt had multiple contacts again with WSP, or Washington State Patrol, and continued to provide updates and request an Amber Alert, which still the information that he provided and had obtained did not meet the threshold for the Amber Alert to be activated. However, an Endangered and Missing Person Alert, an EMPA, was activated by the Washington State Patrol at approximately 4:00 p.m. I want to explain a little bit that the Endangered and Missing Person Alert does generate a flyer that goes out to all the contacts through that State Patrol Missing and Endangered Person Unit, so that goes statewide. As well, the information for the alert is posted on the reader boards that I'm sure everybody's familiar with on the state highways around Washington, and those were activated here locally on the major ingress and egress highways such as Highway 2 and I-90. Also, on May 31st, Detective Hewitt had developed and communicated probable cause for custodial interference first degree, 3 counts of custodial interference first degree, and began assembling the paperwork to obtain those warrants. The following day, on June 1st, Detective Hewitt conducted additional follow-up and completed his initial report and request for the arrest warrants for custodial interference, which were granted and later entered into the system. The following day, which was Monday, the WPD detective unit met to devise a plan for the day on follow-up and submitting necessary paperwork for the warrant to ensure that had all gone through. WSP was contacted again, referenced the Amber Alert, yet we still didn't meet the criteria. The EMPA was deemed to be the best fitting alert, and one of the things that I want to share with everybody about that EMPA, because it is a, I'll say, level below or degree below the Amber Alert, it actually comes with an expiration time. And we were able to work with WSP because we did actually reach our expiration for that alert, and it, by policy, was supposed to have been pulled down. But through good communication, good cooperation, and the relationship that we've built with Washington State Patrol over a long period of time, they agreed to leave that up. And we also enlisted the cooperation of the Department of Transportation as well, who has some input and does actually help WSP run those reader boards as well. So we were able to get that cooperation. And so I want to emphasize that WSP was very good to work with, as was DOT, and we had that information up and available to the public for as long as possible, extending past what the policy said it should have been up there for. Also on Monday, CCSO detectives were contacted and assisted. We communicated with them and developed a plan for CCSO detectives to check the areas of Chumstick and Icicle Road as well. Myself, Sergeant Eaton, and Detective Hewitt, shortly after coordinating with CCSO units, contacted the family and requested a meeting at the Wenatchee Police Department with the family and family representatives at approximately 10 a.m. The primary intent of the meeting was to provide an update to the family and answer any questions that they had about the ongoing investigation. The meeting was very positive and focused on maintaining good communication flowing back and forth both directions to maximize the exchange of information. At about 3:47 p.m., a CCSO deputy located the vehicle up the Icicle near the Rock Island campground. Sergeant Eaton and Detective Hewitt immediately responded to there to assist, and I remained at WPD to continue communication with the family and to coordinate additional law enforcement assistance from down here in the valley should it be needed. Upon arrival at the camp, upon arrival up there, the WPD units that responded connected with CCSO deputies that had responded to the scene as well. And from there, they began their ground search of the immediate area around the vehicle. The initial information that we were provided following the locating of the vehicle was that the vehicle was unoccupied. And shortly thereafter, we were advised that the bodies of the 3 young girls had been located in relatively close proximity to that vehicle. And Travis was nowhere to be found. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Morrison and allow him to continue the press conference.
Thank you, Captain. Evening. I'm Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. I appreciate all you being here. I really want to make sure that I point out that it's moments like these where we see our community coming together, paying respects to those young individuals that lost their lives. I want to pay respects to Peyton, Evelyn, Olivia. Your memory will never be forgotten, and we will not stop pursuing justice for you until those that were accountable for this are found. So I do appreciate everyone being here. To follow up, because I know the Captain Chance has already touched on a lot of the topics that we've already discussed, I want to give thanks to the Wenatchee Police Department, Chief Reinfeld, Captain Miller, Captain Chance, Sergeant Eaton with the Detectives Unit that provided Chelan County Sheriff's Office with the information we needed to properly assist them. For those who don't know, Chelan County is a large area. We have 2,900 plus square miles. When you're talking about trying to find individuals in a geographically diverse terrain, it's difficult. But by them doing their investigation, follow through over the weekend, we're able to pinpoint it in the areas of Chumstick Highway, Icicle, Tumwater Canyon. I know that many of you here from the area recognize that's still a pretty large area, but we're fortunate to have partnerships with the U.S. Forest Service that funds some of our deputies, specifically U.S. Forest Service deputies that are contracted with us. Our Forest Service deputy was able to go up the Icicle. We're about 18 miles up for those of you who have not been up there. And that deputy was able to locate the vehicle of the suspect. We did back off to make sure we were in compliance with Washington state law when it comes to de-escalation, controlling pace. We called additional units. I know that many members of the community were concerned, asking why we were having deputies, police officers from East Wenatchee, Douglas County, Wenatchee PD, responding at a high rate of speed. This was an important situation for us. We took it as a high priority. Once we had additional units on scene, we did secure the vehicle, determined that we were able to bring in additional resources, which was our East Cascade SWAT team that did an additional search of the surrounding area of the campsite in question until we determined that a perimeter had been established and that it was safe enough for additional detectives and the Washington State Patrol's crime lab to come in and assist us as we processed that scene. As Captain Chance already mentioned, that was prompted when we did find the bodies of the deceased. Again, our condolences and our heartfelt sympathy goes out to the Decker family. We know they're struggling, but I want them to know they're not struggling alone. We suffer as a community. It has hit many of us hard. Going on 20 years, I don't think I've had a situation that has really almost prompted tears to come up. we feel for the family, and we see as everyone else is out here, they're not suffering alone. There's a lot of people here supporting them. We were able to do an extensive processing of the scene throughout the night while we maintained perimeter security. Once that was secured, the vehicle was taken back for an additional search warrant. We brought in additional units that come in and assist us. That'd be our federal partners from U.S. Border Patrol, Homeland Security Investigations, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Marshal's Office. They did an extensive search today, in addition to the Air National Guard, bringing in aviation supplies to come in, fly over there. We had drones in the air. We've been conducting a search since early this morning up until later on this afternoon. That, unfortunately, has not allowed us to locate the suspect yet, but we are not done searching. As we speak, the Marshal's Office, the FBI, they're processing leads, they're conducting follow-up, and we will not rest until Travis is located. Travis, if you're listening, this is your opportunity to turn yourself in. Do the right thing, do what you need to do, and take accountability for your actions. We're not going to go away, we're not going to rest, and we're going to make sure we find you. You will be brought to justice. Those young ladies deserve it. We will take additional questions later on, but the Sheriff's Office, the Wenatchee Police Department, East Wenatchee, Douglas County, and all of our federal partners are going to continue to work with one another to ensure that justice is served. Thank you.
Sheriff, is their dad still alive?
We are unsure if Mr. Decker is currently alive, but we are taking it that he is still out there. And again, we will not rest until we've located him, whether he's alive or he's dead. We want to make sure that he's brought back.
And for the public that's keeping an eye out for him, is there anything in his records that would suggest that he is violent?
Not at this time, but based off the allegations that are being made against him, we do consider him to be a threat towards the community. We also ask the community to stay out of the Icicle Gorge area for the time being until we can secure that area and ensure that he is not there. That is a big area. We're talking about the enchantments, we're talking about French Creek, going up on those spur trails. It's a popular area that we like to recreate in as well. We don't close it down or encourage people not to go there lightly, but for the best interest of the public, we'd encourage them find other places to recreate until we can ensure that that area is safe. Can you come a little bit closer, ma'am? Thank you.
Would you mind providing a little bit additional details about the scene where the girls were found?
Within reason, but I'm not going to go into a lot of details in regards to the scene because our investigative unit has requested that a lot of that information remain private until we can ensure that the information we are sharing is not going to compromise the investigation. Again, we don't want to rush. We don't want to take any chances that we would give him any opportunity to be able to beat this later on in court.
Is there belief that he could be outside this area you guys are searching right now, or is there strong belief this is here?
Nope. We have no leads that are showing specifically where he's at. So as we're taking it, he could be anywhere within the nation. And that's why we have our federal partners on scene helping us bring in additional resources that a medium-sized agency like Chelan County would not be able to provide. Again, this is the importance of having those partnerships with federal government and larger agencies, especially Washington State Patrol. We cannot do this without their assistance, and we're thankful for that.
Do you have any reason to believe Mr. Decker might have found a second vehicle to travel in?
That could be a possibility. Nothing's off the table. We're going to continue to actively pursue him, and we understand that he could be anywhere, and we're taking that into consideration. Thanks to the U.S. Marshal's Office that have come in and brought additional resources. Again, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, Homeland Security Investigations. We are searching anywhere and everywhere for him.
Sheriff, thanks for taking our questions. Have you had any contact with Mr. Decker's family?
We have. We've been in continuous contact. I know that Captain Chance and Captain Miller have been in regular communications with them. I spoke with them yesterday and today and assured them that anything they needed from our local resources, they were available. They are absolutely cooperating. They have been very supportive of our efforts, and we've reminded them we could not do this. We could not conduct our investigation and have a better understanding of Travis without their assistance. And again, we're very appreciative of what they've done so far.
Is Upper Icicle Road still physically barricaded? Is there a point where people cannot travel further?
Our barricade will be lifted later on today. Again, we have continued to expand our search further and further down Icicle. The last I heard, we were around milepost 4. Again, we're encouraging people, do not go there. Even if our roadblock is lifted, we are not saying that the area is safe. Until we locate him, we're determining nothing's off the table.
Mr. Decker had a dog with him at certain points. Do we know if the dog was present at that campsite at any point?
We do know the dog was present and that our units, when they arrived on scene, did locate the dog.
Has there been any use of canines in the search?
I would check with our captain, but I am not sure if a dog's been used.
Has there been any other evidence found, bone or anything like like that?
There has been other evidence found. We really appreciate Washington State Patrol and their crime lab team for coming in, doing such a thorough search. Our investigative units with detectives, Wenatchee PD, Chelan County Sheriff's Office, again, we did not hustle this. We went through, we were methodical with it, and we made sure to cover every single thing possible because we recognize the weight of this situation.
Sheriff, a question from our newsroom right now. Do you know if any of Mr. Decker's family members are missing? His dad, perhaps?
We've been in communication with several members of Mr. Decker's family. We know that they've also been willing to cooperate with us. I believe his dad's flying in to talk with us and work with us a little bit further. We appreciate their cooperation as well.
So his dad is not missing?
At this time, I'm not aware of his father being missing or any other members of his family missing. Again, that's just based off the information I currently have. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We know that our coroner's office, that'd be the Chelan County's coroner's office, is going through that process and will continue to do their portion of the investigation as well. I won't speak on that half.
Have the girls been brought physically home?
They are still being cared for by the Chelan County coroner's office.
Was there any sign of any other vehicles in the area?
At this time, we have not gotten an update for what additional information has been obtained today. We just know the investigation is ongoing. We'll conclude it at that. Appreciate it. We will have another press conference tomorrow. I believe that's going to be at 1800 hours. Again, we appreciate everyone being out here showing support for the family. I can tell you they do appreciate all of you being here. We spoke with them. This is the kind of support you like to see from our county. It really represents what Chelan County is all about. And again, the family thanks you for that. And any information that you have that could assist us with the investigation, please continue to bring that information in. We do have the FBI, in addition to members of the Wenatchee Police Department, Chelan County Sheriff's Office, that is working leads, following up on them actively, and we have analysts going through data online as well. We are taking this serious, and we'll continue to do what we can to assist. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was informative. That was one of the better press conferences, in my opinion. I'm going to put the girl's photograph back up. So this is who we're looking for. Well, they're looking for. I'm not looking. That was the royal way. Travis Decker, 32 years old, 5'8", around 190 pounds. White by the look of him. And he's got dark blue, brown or black hair in a ponytail. And he was wearing a light coloured t-shirt and dark shorts the last time he was seen. Presumably that would have been by the children's mother. So there's a lot to take in there. A lot to take in. I'm going to have to listen to that all again. There was a very thorough timeline. I honestly don't think that the local cops have done anything wrong. I don't fault them. Like, they were pushing for the Amber Alert. They asked twice for the Amber Alert and were told no. Now, the difference between an endangered missing child alert and an Amber Alert is one of how wide that Amber Alert goes. So he explained there that the endangered child alert in Washington, all right, it generates a flyer. Great. Okay. So I assume that'll get pushed out on local PD media and things like that. It'll go to the local press, I'm guessing. That's just a guess. And it will flash up on billboards. But unless you're actually on social media and seeing these flyers, or you're passing by a billboard, you're not going to know. And given this is an incredibly rural place, and given that Travis Decker was using campgrounds as his home, then the most appropriate place to find him would have been campgrounds, motels, places where people were passing through. The Amber Alert would have generated a ping on people's phones, wouldn't it? It would have come up on people's phones. So people out camping, people passing through the area on the way to, you know, a recreation ground to hike or to whatever, camp, whatever, would have been alerted. Now, the 911 call came in at 9:35, I think he said. So Whitney, the girl's mother, probably waited till it was, you know, well after dark. She was probably waiting and thought, well, he's not coming back. I'm going to have to call the police. He's not meant to have them overnight. She's probably been ringing him and there's nothing. So she's called the cops. Now, maybe they, they thought, well, the mother's saying that he wouldn't harm them and he's involved in their lives. There's no initial concern for their well-being. However, once that night is over, that's when the Amber Alert should have come in. And maybe that wouldn't have saved these 3 girls. Maybe it wouldn't. I think he probably murdered them on that Friday night. But we don't know. We don't know. There's no time of death been issued. The cause of death is likely to be asphyxiation, but we don't know how long they've been dead when they were found. So, could it have saved them? Possibly not. But possibly. Maybe. Regardless, for cases in future, surely an Amber Alert, when you've got a custody situation where a parent has broken their visitation agreement by considerable amount of time, when that person is not allowed to have them overnight, doesn't matter if he's involved in their lives, doesn't matter if under normal circumstances he's not going to hurt them, but he's homeless, he's under a lot of stress, and he's got mental health problems, and he's got anger management problems. All of those things combined should have raised a massive red flag to the State Patrol, and they should have issued the Amber Alert when they were asked the first time. They should have. Now, to me, it does sound that he's deleted himself from life. Why do I say that? He's left his vehicle behind and he's left his dog behind. So there was a dog. He had a dog and the dog had been found. Presumably the dogs had been located alive. He didn't say the dog was dead. So he's not killed the dog, as far as we understand. Don't know whether the dog was in the truck or whether the dog was just wandering around or tied up to a tree or something like that, or that maybe the dog had stayed with the girls. I mean, that'd be heartbreaking if the dog had done that. We don't know where the dog was located, but the dog was located in the vicinity. So the fact that the dog's been located, he's not taken his dog. So cared about his dog, perhaps. Or maybe the dog made his or her own decision and didn't want to go with this madman. Maybe, I don't know. Don't know whether the dog was restrained in some way, whether the dog chose to stay behind. We don't know those details. But he's not taken his dog. That's pretty final to me. Don't know about his phone. Now, they had pinged his phone. That's how they know that he was in that area. But I didn't hear on that presser that they'd located his phone. So maybe he's got his phone in his pocket. Don't know, but maybe it's just off or he's thrown it away or whatever. Battery's dead. I think personally, given the circumstances, I don't think he's on the run. I think he's probably walked off into the wilderness and maybe shot himself or something like that. Doesn't say whether a firearm was found in his truck. So there's a lot of things that I think, those small things I'd like to know, because I think the small things like that are often the most important when you're trying to work out someone's mental state. But we know that he's already very fragile mentally. We know that he's murdered his 3 girls. No one's going to say to me that he didn't do it. No one surely will say that he didn't do it. This guy is guilty, surely. Surely. Unless he's been murdered as well. It's quite possible. He's been kidnapped and murdered as well, maybe. Who knows? And he's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law, constitutionally, and all that stuff. But I think it is very, very likely that he did it. It could be a massive curveball. That somebody hated him so much that he's killed his daughters and taken him hostage or taken him somewhere else and murdered him. That's a massive curveball that could be very possible. But I think, Occam's razor, given the whole, the totality of the information, I think the most likely scenario is that Travis did it. Travis is suicidal and Travis has walked off into the wilderness, sat down somewhere and put a bullet in his brain. It would have been, you know, he's asphyxiated his daughters. That takes time. That's a very intimate way to kill someone. That takes time. You know, it's not like he's shot them all in the head and then shot himself. There's anger there. There's anger there. The fact that he's been able to do that one by one, that's anger. That's hatred. Like somebody who acts out of complete impulse and desperation, if you've got a firearm on them, the quickest and painless way to do it is bang, 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 and then bang in your own head. Sorry to be graphic, but it is. But the fact that he's asphyxiated them all, that's intimate. Yeah, Chris Watts vibes, exactly. That's Chris Watts move, That's a Chris Watts move. It's an intimate way to kill someone, and it takes time. Like, you can choose to save that person's life. If you're doing it out of anger, you can choose to save that person's life. It's not like putting a bullet in them and then instantly regretting it. And the fact that he did that 3 times is horrific. Absolutely horrific. He did that 3 times. So if he's out there somewhere and he's alive and he's willing to, you know, face the music and be regretful, then come out from wherever you're hiding. But I think if they carry on the search like they say they're going to do, they'll only carry on the search for so long, you know, resources and all that. But probably somebody, a hiker, somebody will come across his remains. I would imagine. That's my guess at the moment. Now, there is a press conference later on. He said 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m. Washington time, which is going to be like Washington Pacific. Is that Pacific time? I'm not sure. I think it's Pacific. So that will be 2 a.m. my time. So I'm not going to be awake and online to stream that live. So Pacific time. So that's 2 a.m. my time, because the West Coast is 8 hours behind me. So 2 a.m. I'm not going to be up at 2 a.m. If I am, I'm certainly not going to be streaming a press conference. I've done it in the past. I've been awake and I've done midnight lives in the past. But Kyle normally shouts at me because I have a loud voice. He's in the next room. I generally wake him up. So I've kind of stopped doing those live streams when I'm awake in the middle of the night. I tend to just go out for a walk now instead. So I'll watch the press conference tomorrow. If there's a lot of good information in it, I'll either do another live stream or I'll do a recorded video about it. So you'll be awake. I tend to wake up I wake up when the dogs wake up. And then so they generally wake me up if there's cats fighting in the neighbourhood, or I don't know, Tilly sometimes needs a poo in the middle of the night because she's too lazy to go out before she goes to sleep. She'll be asleep now. She'll have taken up her sleeping position right now on the couch downstairs. I can guarantee. Anyhow, right, I'm going to go. I'm going to keep this one quite brief, so I will be updating, following this case closely. Travis Decker, 32 years old, 5'8", 190 pounds, white with dark brown or black hair in a ponytail, and he's out there somewhere in the wilds of Washington State, and he's wanted. He's wanted for 3 counts of first-degree murder against his 9-year-old, 8-year-old, and 5-year-old daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker. Absolutely horrific. So if you're in the area of the places they mentioned, Leavenworth, was it? Hold on. Let me see if I can get a location here. Let's have a look. Rock Island Campground in Chelan County, Washington. I'm going to put all this stuff on the map. my little map so that I've got all the locations. $20,000 reward has been offered for any information leading to Decker's arrest, police said. So I didn't hear that in the presser. Again, I'm going to have to listen to that presser again. There's a lot of information. We will not rest until we locate him, Challen County Sheriff Mike Morrison said during the press conference. It can be anywhere within the nation, so that's why we have our federal partners on scene helping us bring in additional resources. Well, he's either got a second vehicle or he's got someone helping him if he can be anywhere in the nation, because he's left his truck behind, a white GMC truck. They have that. They have his dog. So the most likely scenario is that he's no longer alive. But if you're in that area, Challen County, Rock Island Campground, if you're in that area, Wenatchee Police Department, the Challen County Sheriff's Office, I think they've done a good job so far. I can't doubt their investigation so far based on the little that I know. But the state police have dropped the ball, and I think a lot of questions need to be asked there, and some questions need to be asked of the court, who've let this man have unsupervised visits. Anyway, all right, so thanks all for joining me. I will be live tomorrow morning my time. I'm going to schedule it soon. I'm going to schedule it before I go to bed, so at some point in the next few hours. The trial recap of Karen Reid, I'll be doing that. So today was only a half day, where there was Lucky Laughlin and Karina Kolakethis. So if you want to listen to my trial recap, that will be tomorrow morning. I'll schedule it for 11:45 a.m. my time, which will be very, very, very early for most of you. But you can watch it at your leisure. All right, so thank you for joining me. Thanks as always to the mods. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, folks.